How you guys doing? Yes, it's the video you've been asking for. Traits are on the agenda. I'm going to go through literally every single hero in the game right now and give you all of the traits that you're going to be needing to run. If you've not guessed it, you're going to hear quite a lot of the same, but I am going to be breaking it down into the groups, so it should break it down a bit easier for each of the unit types that you might be playing. And if you've not checked it out, I have made a trait guide, so you should learn what traits that you're going to be looking for in the past, present, and future hero releases, no matter what. So you shouldn't have to watch this video anymore. You should be able to figure it out on your own, because I believe you're smart enough. Honestly, I do believe you're smart enough. So smash like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into today's video. Let me introduce you to it all, because as I said in the guide, and I'm going to mention it here too, no matter what, you're always going to do one rule, which is equip the strongest mythic or legendary trait that you can put onto your formations. And what you'll notice, it's going to be one of two types of traits. You're either going to put a universal trait on, which is either going to be your bedrock, which is going to reduce the damage that you take, or you can put on Armyy Sunder, which is the opposite. This is increasing the amount of damage that mounted hero is going to be dealing. Alternatively, you'll be putting on the trait of choice that increases that hero's in particular damage. Or if not, if you're a support hero, you're going to be putting on the lifesaver. So number one rule, those traits I've just mentioned, if you've got the mythic, depending on the hero type, you're going to be using them as your main trait. However, you're going to be aiming for a double traded horse. This means if you're a support, you are going to be looking for stuff like a lifesaver renewal combo, just for an example. And then obviously going into all the nuances, we'll go into them all. So with that knowledge now, I think everyone should be on the same page on how we're going to be approaching this and how heroes should have traits. So what we're going to do is go down each of the different types, which is martial, warrior, tactician, and go down each of the swordsman, pikeman, cavalry, and archers in a game, and we'll break it down one by one. Marshals are going to be the easiest and the quickest, and I'm just going to blitz through the majority of them. So firstly, Queen Dido is on the agenda, and this is going to apply to every single gathering hero in the game. So this is your Queen Dido, this is your YSS, this is your King Derek's, right? Your Cleopatra's, all of your gathering heroes. They're going to be rocking simply the Swift and Abundance traits. Swift is giving you gathering speed, while Abundance, as you'll see, that's equipped onto my King Derek, if I can find it, is your extra resource gain. So you can get extra resources, there we go, or you can increase your speed. But you're going to be aiming to get both of those traits on one horse onto a singular hero. That just means that that hero is giving you extra resources each successful gathering stage and speeds up your gathering. So no matter what, gathering is easy. Just remember, Abundance Swift horses are your go-to gathering trait mounts for all of them, right? Now, when we're looking at Queen Shi Huang, or QSH, as many people know, he is a support. He's a turn-based hero, but he doesn't deal damage. This is one thing you need to remember, and you'll notice me kind of drive this through all of the heroes as we go through. He is a support. He is there to recover units and reduce the damage taken, especially with his other skills. So when it comes to the mount choice or the traits that you're going to be looking for, Lifesaver is numero uno. This is going to, again, whenever he triggers his healing, give you that little bit of extra damage reduction. On top of this, you're going to go for Renewal, which is going to increase the percentage of the heals that he provides. Alternatively, though, if you don't want to go for Healing Armor, you can double down and go for a Bedrock, and this will allow you to have Lifesaver, Bedrock, double damage reduction onto your troop, which is actually quite huge for damage reduction for the march. Now, going to the Tokugawas. The Tokugawas, right? This is, again, all the free-to-plays. I would recommend never doing this again, but if you use them, it's the same thing I've just mentioned. He's recovering troops and he reduces the damage you take, and you build him as a support. So go for, as I've just mentioned, Bedrock with that good old lifesaver. You're going to be golden in that damage reduction department. Now, Order is a little bit different. He is a turn-based might damage dealer, as you can see, with a chance to deal in some extra damage. And when you go into his more skills, if you're going to be running it, I would recommend running Kingsblade as well as Savage for more turn-based combat. So that means for your Order Nobunangas, you're going to be looking for, you've guessed it, Flanks Breaker, which is going to increase your turn-based might damage skills, as well as looking for either a Armyy Sunder or a Bedrock to increase your damage that you deal or reduce damage taken. That's going to be the exact same thing, if you've not mentioned it, to Totoyomi here. The only difference is, instead of Flanks Breaker, you're going to be rocking the good old Overpower. Overpower is for active base skills for might damage. And just so we can keep on the same page and you think I'm talking bullshittery, don't worry, I am not, because we just go into here, go into the traits, we can see everything I have just mentioned. Overpower for the mounted heroes, active skill might damage increase. For the Totoyomi, we've got Flanks Breaker for the mounted heroes, turn-based skill might damage increase there. For the orders and for the supports that we've just gone through, you've seen it. Lifesaver with that damage reduction and healing. And on top of it, we can go up to Bedrock to get that damage reduction, double stack or renewal to increase the healing effect of that support. So easily. And again, as I'm going through any of these guys, I would recommend checking it out on the breeding center so you can follow what these traits are actually doing and you've got a good idea of what the hell to do, right? So, moving out of there, let's go back into the hero page and carry on with the Martial Swordsman and get these guys quickly smashed through, because honestly, they're really, really easy. So, Martial Swordsman, we've gone through Queen Dido, we've gone through QSH, we've gone through all of these. Julius Caesar's the last one to talk about, and if you've not guessed it, he is a turn-based dealer. So, that means being a Flanks Breaker. You're going to be running Flanks Breaker with Armyy Sunder for your Julius Caesar, and this is just going to increase the amount of damage that you go. However, I will say for the very first time, Julius Caesar is the one hero and technically the turn-based pikeman here of your martial pikes that deal damage can go down another trait route, and this is just for the people that like to cheese in cities. Yes, you heard right, I'm thinking about you guys too, because this is the only time you can instantly force Fearless, as well as, you've guessed it, Dustbane to work. So if you put Dustbane onto Julius Caesar, you can make your turn-based skills do 10% even more damage in solo battles. But the thing is, if you're jumping out of a city to attack someone and then jumping straight back in and jumping out and jumping in and jumping out, you are constantly forcing solo battle after solo battle after solo battle. So actually having Dustbane on or Feelers is a really good option that you can be putting onto that Julius Caesar march or any of the martial pikemen that we're going to go through next that are DPS orientated in their skills. So just to go back there now, we've finished all of the martial swordsmen. Let's move on, right? So martial pikeman is what we just mentioned. And again, any of the DPS pikemen, this is going to be your Ottos, this is going to be your Octavians, this is going to be your Julius Caesars here. All of these guys are going to be using Flanks Breaker with, which I've just mentioned, that Dustbane or the solo troop damage reduction, or Armyy Sunder. You're going to pick one setup that you want, which is going to be Flanks Breaker. Pick your favorite second trait of choice, whack it together, because again, all three of these work in the exact same way, and they are going to be looking for the exact types of traits to either do these cheeseburger strats or just increase their overall damage that they deal. If you want my overall opinion, I would look for Armyy Sunder, because Armyy Sunder doesn't care if you're getting swarmed or if you're in a solo fight, so you can use it a lot more versatile than you can in, if you guessed it, the other ones. Now, moving on to, obviously, our Ramcam and Bushra here. They're going to follow the exact same rule as QSH. I'm going to be honest, they actually are really good supports. So you're going to be running Lifesaver there with Bedrock, or Lifesaver with Healing Armor, just to give yourselves, again, that damage reduction, that extra bit of healing through your team that you're going to be needing. Tamiris is the only one that we've got left to do, and she is a weird one in the pikeman lineup because she is a turn-based hero, but she's increasing the damage of the troops, as you can see. When you go into the more skills, you can run Peaceful Haven with Tenacity, so you can go down one of two routes with this hero. You can actually choose the same thing as we've said before, which is Ramcams as well as QSH. Just go for that good old Lifesaver, Renewal, or Bedrock combo for the double traits. Or what you can actually do, and you got to think with this hero, just depending if you want to be like this, you can bring Lifesaver still if you go down the Peaceful Haven and obviously Tenacity route for her. But the second trait you could bring could be actually Fierce, which sounds a bit weird, but actually giving her 22.5% extra normal attack damage makes her a little bit more of an offensive support and fulfills a very similar role to kind of what your, a Timmer or maybe a Tiller is going to be doing, which we're going to talk about obviously later on the line when we get down there, right? Martial Cavalry are the next ones up on the list, and these guys are honestly really interesting depending on who you are obviously using. When it comes to Otto, I'm going to tell you right now, don't use Otto with Martial Cavalry. Keep him as a Martial Pikeman. He does infinitely better, as we've seen just through testing and just the way his skills are generated. However, Saladin, we can see Saladin has passive increase. He has, again, secondary strike damage here, which is increasing the rage, and if you've not guessed it, passive again on this skill. You can choose to change this to weak spot attack to give him a little bit more damage, or war tactic for that, but you've probably guessed it, it's a little bit of a weird one. So what you're going to be running for Saladin in my eyes is simply Fierce with your good old Bedrock, because this is going to make your Saladin deal more damage through his normal attacks while providing damage reduction to the troop, which is going to be really key because he isn't really the most, damage reduction march unless, you really fucking knuckle down on your gear and stuff and maybe equip like a Tranquil Water or something. But we don't have those options, right? When it comes to Tamiris, though, she's going to be very similar to what I've just mentioned. However, we can run more offensive stuff here. As you can see, after your commander troop does 12 normal attacks, your commander enters the double attack state. And each time that commander activates a secondary strike skill, the damage dealt to the main target increases. So what we can do here with this hero, same as before, but instead of running Lifesaver, we can actually run Bedrock. So with Tamiris Cavalry, again, Tamiris Cavalry, run Fierce and Bedrock, because you're going to reduce the damage taken of the troop, and more importantly, you're increasing her damage output, so she can actually do something out there, because there's no really good valid options for her alternatively to be using, right? When it comes to YSG, this hero does passive damage here, and it's all about active skills though, triggering multiple times. So if you've not guessed it, we're going to be rocking the Overpower as well as Army Sunder combo. It's simple as that on this hero. It just means potentially you can do more damage on here. Is he a hero I would recommend to use? Obviously not, but for those people that are using him, there you go. Seon the Great is the same. It's going to be as earlier. He is a recovery and reduction based hero, and because of that, it's easy. You should hear it already, guys. Say it with me. Lifesaver and Bedrock. Yes, you did it as well. Give a round of applause to you all. You are all learning in today's video how easy it is to honestly pick out support traits. They're that easy. Everyone else's are a little bit dependent on what you want. Just as Tariq is a good example. He has a passive here, but what he does provide in his more skills is some damage through secondary strike. So what I would actually recommend if you're running a Tariq is Fierce as well as Gallant. Gallant's going to give you that, again, mounted secondary strike skill damage increase while increasing your normal attacks as well, which is going to help Tariq's damage output, especially when he runs Roar of Victory as well as weak spot attack, or Roar of Victory, Act of Mercy, or Roar of Victory and Spirit of Pursuit, or Roar of Victory and Armor Piercer. Pick the combinations that you really want to use, and without spending too much of your investment into this hero, because again, I don't like him, but I understand some of the martial cavalry users do. But look, that's what I would recommend using on him. We've already done Bushra earlier on, exactly the same for cavalry as for pikemen. El Cid, this is an easy one. Secondary strike might damage that he deals, as well as going through into his more skills. Secondary strike, and he enters the double attack state. If you've got a Radiant Guardian, you would be running weak spot attack instead. This is going to allow you to do obviously as much damage as possible, which means you've probably guessed it, very similar to earlier on, we're going to be running our Gallon skill with Army Sunder traits. So if you just go over to the mounts, we can just showcase why we're doing that one last time to really drill it into you guys. Gallon is our secondary strike might damage increased by 10%, and we're increasing at 22.5% of our normal attack damage. So it's just going to absolutely blow people up. If you don't want to run Fierce onto this hero, you've probably guessed it, go down and run Army Sunder. And it's just one of the two options on that second trait. Gallon, Armyy Sunder. Gallon, Fierce. You pick. Pick, and it's going to work either way. It's going to be fine. It's going to do damage. It's going to blow someone up if you're running that formation. Finally, in the final hero in the martial, guys, to talk about is Robin Hood, the one I want to fucking kill, because obviously he's not an archer, and I wish he was, but hey-ho, here we go. But he is a passive-based hero that is boosting the range and obviously the damage of your team. But what's really important in this kit is he has recovery, and the recovery is huge, because we have recovery, we can do some nice stuff like Peaceful Haven and Pay in Blood if you want to put in even more damage and a bit of recovery, or Protracted Battle to just go pure recovery instead. But as you'll notice, we've got a high holy trinity of support. So what with Robin Hood, you're gonna rock Lifesaver, Bedrock. Just run those two, you're gonna be cooking. If you really want to, you could try running a Lifesaver with healing armor or renewal, just to increase the amount of healing he provides, just because you might feel like, just increasing the amount of healing does give that extra sustain along the fight that might give you just what you needed to hit some bigger numbers over a longer period of fight. But there you go, nice and easy. Support and recovery, easy as pie, completed the martials, right? We do have martial archers left, and these are going to be super easy because we have Napoleon here. And Napoleon deals active damage here, but it's strategy. And this is where people are going to get caught out for the first time, because you're not going to run overpower, because he's strategy based. We use Spirit Bond instead. So if you go over to the trait menu, go over here, Breeding Center, press the I button, traits, scroll down, you'll start to see these next ones, right? So Spirit Bond, Stratagem, Cunning, and Ballmaster. These are the strategy damage types of the exact same things that we've just gone through, but obviously strategy, not might. So we want Spirit Bond onto our hero, including Armyy Sunder on Napoleon. This is just going to help him a ton in dealing damage. It really does. Every time we deal damage, we get stacks here. When we have these stacks, we immediately deal damage. We increase our strategy damage by 20%. And then on top of it, we've got our Corsican Flame that's dealing a shit ton of damage as well, increasing the next two signature active skill damage output. So if you've not guessed it, putting Spirit Bond on there and Armyy Sunder really takes his hero's damage output to the next level, and it's all about doing that commander skill damage for your heroes. Saladin is going to be the exact same as earlier on that I mentioned, so if you just rewind it, it's going to be the same. We don't talk about Henry. We just don't. We just don't. We don't talk about Henry. But if we did, it's just going to be Bedrock and Bedrock. No, you can't double Bedrock, I know. But you'd go Bedrock and some sort of damage reduction. It could be anything. Just, he's terrible. Don't use Henry. Just don't use him, right? So now we've gone through all the martials. Let's move on to the warriors, because this is where most players are playing. The warriors and the tacticians, right? So if we go through the warriors and hit swordsman first, it's going to be nice and easy. Mehmed is a support hero, just like our Tribuana down here, as well as even some other heroes like, there he is, Constantine. All of these three heroes are going to use the same trait, Horse, which is going to be your lifesaver, as well as Bedrock, just to make sure, again, you take the least amount of damage as possible. And again, whenever they do decide to heal, they get to obviously proc the good old thing. When we go to Scipio, this is, again, activate the 30% down here. It goes all the way, increases the damage, chance to do this damage. And you can see here the recovery of the 100%, just to showcase that he does add a tiny little bit of recovery. It's not his main job, that's why we don't care about increasing it, but we can get a benefit, and that's the whole point of lifesaver on that hero. When it comes to Miyamoto, when it comes to your Lagatha, when it comes to Yodi as a really good example as well, these are all heroes just like King Arthur that are honestly looking for the exact same hero traits, which is overpower with Armyy Sunder. You've probably guessed it. You're looking for any sort of heroes that deal active skill might damage to put that overpower on. So you're going to be rocking these with those, and you're going to be fine in your team composition, I promise you. When it comes down here now to like Josephine, she's going to be a little bit different. She's a second strike user, so you've guessed it, we're going to run Gallant, and we can run Lifesaver. You've heard right. Gallant Lifesaver is actually really, really good. We do deal some second strike damage depending on what setups you run, but what's really important is the fact that we're recovering too. So whenever we recover, we get our damage reduction, and because we get our damage reduction, we can survive a little bit better. King Derek does active skill damage, and you build him in that way. So you're going to run Overpower with, you've guessed it, Armyy Sunder. Same thing for our Hammurabi. He is dealing damage through active skill and inflicts rout, and this is going to be the same for his other skills that you can run, which is Bloodthirsty or Earth Crush or Sunder, depending on your spending level. All those are active skills, so you've guessed it, we're running Overpower and Armyy Sunder. Harold is going to be your, again, active base damage, so you've heard it already. Overpower and Armyy Sunder, boys and girls. And the thing is, with all of these recommendations, obviously these are double trait horses I am recommending to you guys. If you want to try and find obviously a second alternative trait, just remember there is traits that you could go down that are potentially meta dependent that you're fighting in. Just a really good example of that is going into the breeding center, going down into the universal traits that you've got, and you'll see down here Iron Ridge and Tactician. So if there's a lot of might-based marchers like Lubu, Cyrus, Miyamoto's, maybe King Canute that come out, and Alpaz lands, and all of them, there's quite a lot of might-based marchers in the game, well, you could look for something like a good old Iron Ridge. Iron Ridge is just reducing might damage specifically at a higher percentage, which is nice, but again, you lose out on the strategy damage. This is why I always recommend either going for Armyy Sunder or I go for Bedrock, because I'd rather have 2.4% might and strategy damage reduction compared to 3% and 0%, which is very different. But again, depending on your area, you can get away with running that as a second trait choice for you guys. I do want to make that clear for you, right? Now, let's carry on with the warriors. We've done basically all of the warrior swordsmen, so we're going into the warrior pikemen, and the pikemen are a lot easier than I think any of the marchers in the game. Mansa Musa follows the exact same rule that we've had all the way through this video so far. Lifesaver with Bedrock, or you could run Lifesaver with healing armor as an optional choice. This is just increasing the actual percent of your heals that you deal, which is pretty good. Increasing the amount of healing just makes Mansa actually a better support than he's already doing, and every time you're healing you get an extra damage reduction. It's always a win-win with this hero. This kind of fills the same boat on any of, again, supports that you can see in the future for the other classes. But for everyone else, and I mean this, so when we look at our Joan of Arc, you're going to notice she deals passive skill damage. We go to Cyrus, this is also passive skill damage. We go to our Vlad, this is again passive skill damage. We go to Richard, this is passive skill damage. And just to round it off, Boudica is again passive skill damage, with Leonidas finishing our good old roster of passive skill damage, meaning all of the warrior pikemen I've just mentioned need a good old Valor. You're looking for Valor to increase your might-based, passive-based damage. And then, depending on what route you want to go down, there's one of two routes. Armyy Sunder or Bedrock is actually really good on pikemen. You can actually go for either one, and you're cooking, because the fact that you're reducing damage that you take with Bedrock allows you to get more potential triggers for your counterattacks to go off more, meaning you deal more damage. But if you went down the Armyy Sunder route, you're going to take the same amount of damage that you normally would take. However, you're going to hit harder on the return. So you're going to get a little bit more immediate feedback instantly, right? When we look at Darius, he is the same with passive, so you're going to use the same. I just wouldn't do that, right? But Fred is one of the actual super supports in this game, and having Lifesaver and going down one of the routes I've just mentioned with the Iron Ridge or Bedrock is really good on this hero, because you are super freaking tanky as a Barbarossa player, especially when you're running Cyrus, Barb, Mansa. Like, the match just doesn't take damage. It just really doesn't. And the fact that you can put a horse onto you and reduce that damage even further is massive. Getting like a 7% damage reduction through healing on top is huge. So all the warrior pikemen, honestly, that's how quick they are, because that's how easy these traits really are for you guys. And it's why I didn't want to make this video, because I honestly didn't think it would be needed, but hey ho, here we are. Let me know what you guys think down below. Love to hear your thoughts. Lubu, though, is the first one that's going to break the trend, kinda. Lubu is going to run our good old Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is going to increase your critical damage of this hero by 13.5% at mythic level. And as you guys know, our Lubu makes all of our skills deal critical strikes. So that means your Ripper Tiger, that means your weak spot attack, even Spirit Pursuit, all can technically crit with this hero, which is just kind of disgusting that you can think about that, right? Next, you're going to be using Gallon. So running Thunderbolt and Gallon on Lubu just ensures the maximum damage increase for both of these two skills that you can have. Armyy Sunder is a good alternative. However, it's only 9% compared to the 10% that you're getting through Gallon. An extra 1% does make the difference overall when you start to run it. However, if you want to run Thunderbolt Armyy Sunder, go for it. I'm not going to shout at you. It's still going to be perfectly fine as a Thunderbolt Gallon build. Running on Timur, though, you'll notice Timur, I actually have the setup that I would recommend, which is either Fierce with Renewal, or you can run Fierce with Lifesaver, because the thing is, this hero deals really no damage through skills. And just like before with the Warrior Swordsman supports, if we can just increase the normal attack damage that we're dealing with Timur, it's going to be fantastic, and it's going to help our, troop actually kill the marchers a little bit sooner. So because of that, Fierce is a really good one for your Timur, and having either Renewal to increase that bit of healing he has is very nice, but putting on Lifesaver is the one to go for. I just didn't roll lucky enough when it came to it. So it just showcases that you are able to get these type of traits and build towards them if you try to go for it. Now, Zhao Yun's going to catch a lot of you guys out, I know, but on the mount that you're going to be wanting for this hero, as you can see, I've got a Mythic Fierce on him at the moment, and you can run this on him. However, you are going to be looking for a Valor. I actually think Valor with your good old Thunderbolt is the way to roll your Zhao Yuns. This is actually going to increase your signature skill here, because it deals passive damage, and it can critical strike, which people keep forgetting. This is how you deal your damage. And through tests, and you can check this out yourselves, out of any of the skills that you can run on this hero, the signature skill does the most damage output no matter what. So if it does the most damage output, it only makes logical sense to try and boost it up. However, there is an alternative that you can run on our Zhao Yun. He has 3 different trait builds that I think all are good. So first one is Fierce Thunderbolt. That's as simple as that. It's increasing your normal attack damage and critical damage, so you just hit really, really hard. The next one is going to be Valor with Thunderbolt. That's going to give you, again, that passive damage increase, and then all of the critical damage increase. Next, though, is Armyy Sunder and Thunderbolt. Armyy Sunder and Thunderbolt for this hero works really freaking well because you get to increase the damage of, obviously, the Valiant Rescue, but we also get to increase our damage of stuff like our Dark Flag that we're going to be running, or if you're running Pain in Blood or Armor Piercer, you're increasing that damage too, because these are obviously secondary strike skills, and you're able to increase secondary strike skills, active, turn-based, and passive with Armyy Sunder, which is really huge. So you're actually going to be able to increase both of these skills with Armyy Sunder and then Thunderbolt to give you a little bit more bing bang for your buck. So Zhao Yun, out of all of the heroes we've talked about so far, actually has the most interesting actual trait options for you to use. Going back to a little bit more boring stuff though, Attila. Attila is as simple as running Fierce and Bedrock. It's as easy as that. He doesn't really do too much. I know certain people set him up with the Weak Spot and Attack of Mercy combo. Some people run Warriors Him as well as Weak Spot Attack. They can do a bunch of different combos, right? Which is fine, but most of the time people run this, which is Critical Insight and Warriors Him, just to get the most amount of burst, support buffs onto your main commanders and healers. And because of that, we're going to be just using Fierce Attack to increase the amount of damage he can deal with his normal attacks to help out, and then you've guessed it, Bedrock to boost our troops damage reduction. Rani is pretty much the exact same. She doesn't do anything different apart from she is more solo based, and she increases that might passively already instead of needing to get to the 5 stars, which obviously your boy does. Vlad, when you're running Warrior Cavalry Vlad, it's going to be maybe a little bit different. You're going to run passive, again, Valor damage here, and that's pretty much actually, no, it's going to be the same. Yeah, it's going to be the exact same as the Warrior Pikeman. Ignore what I just said. Just run Valor with your good old Bedrock or Valor and Armyy Sunder just to increase your damage output. We're going to be good. We're going to be good with that, right? Same with our Darius, same with our Harold, and then when it comes to Guan Yu, it's going to be the same. We're going to run secondary strike skills, damage increase, because we run Berserker and as well as Weak Spot Attack, or you can run Fatal Blow Berserker, you can run Fatal Blow Critical Insight. There's a bunch of different combos you can run with his hero, I'll be real with you. But again, running Fierce with Gallon is a really good way to actually make him deal a truck ton of damage. Or you could run Fierce with Armyy Sunder, and that's still gonna work out for your guy. King Arthur, I've mentioned him before. It's exactly the same as before for Warrior Cav, so don't worry about it, right? So now we've done all of the marshals, warriors, swordsmen, we've done the warrior pikemen, we've done the warrior cavalry. It only leaves the last ones left, the archers, right? And the archers is as easy as I've smashed out all of these videos and all of these heroes so far. Our Parslan uses active space damage, so he's going to be using Overpower. And if you want another skill, you can run Armyy Sunder or Bedrock. If you don't believe me, there's my mythic Armyy Sunder that's already equipped onto my hero. If we go on to Mehmed, Mehmed is the same as I said before. You're going to want Lifesaver Mythic onto this hero, and then Renewal or Healing Armor on here, just to increase the amount of healing he deals. If you want to look for an alternative, Bedrock is the double whammy for damage reduction for your troops. But just to showcase, again, you're able to hit really good horses when you try to build towards those horses. Mulan is going to run Gallon, so we can see here, Gallon is on our Mulan. Gallon plus, obviously, either Fierce or our Armyy Sunder is going to increase the damage output. If you want damage reduction, go for Bedrock. It's as easy as that. We follow the exact same rule for Cavalry, for Timur, and for Attila, and for Rani. So the same traits for calves apply here for our archers. When it goes to Bellevue, we're going to be running Gallon as well as our good friend Lifesaver. I know it's going to catch people off guard, but that is a really freaking good life setup for Bellevue. Having our good friend Gallon is increasing the damage of both of our skills. But as you can see, this is increasing the might of our hero with the highest might, meaning our Alp Aslan or Mulan is increasing that stat, as well as obviously we deal more damage, but Pain in Blood also recovers units. And the fact that we can enter the double attack state and actually heal quite often with the Pain Blood, running Lifesaver with Gallon on our Bellevue is a fantastic little secret in the game that you can run on Bellevue, and it just makes a deal, honestly, a good amount of damage and be a supportive based archer. This actually applies the exact same reason as we said earlier on for Josephine, and we've mentioned King Derek before. The only thing that I will add to King Derek, and I think I did mention this in the earlier part of the video, and I just kind of want to refresh you guys. Remember, he is a gathering based hero, so gathering based heroes run Swift, Abundance, and you're good as golden, right? So that is all of the warriors completed. Now we're on the final category. We're on the tacticians. We've got a bunch of heroes to use, as well as Ashoka, which is the one which catches a lot of people out, which is really hard to get, and I get it. But we'll start with the tactician swordsman and Ramses. And Ramses is the easy one. You should know by now. It's gonna be Spirit Bond, boys and girls. Spirit Bond increases your active skill damage increase. This is also gonna be the same trait you're gonna be looking for your Sun Tzus, as well as for your Suleiman. All of them use active skill damage increase, which is going to be nice for them. When it comes to your actual second trait, though, it depends. Ramses is already known to be a very tanky march, and to be honest, if you put up bedrock or damage reduction on here, I feel like it's a little bit of a, overkill. So for Ramses, I actually do like running Armyy Sunder just to get that double damage down for Ramses. When it comes to your Zhu Liang, I'm going to kind of do the same thing here. We're going to be rocking our good friend Lifesaver, and when it comes to your other trait, you're going to be looking for, again, Renewal or either Healing Armor, just to give you extra more healing. We've already got damage reduction covered. I'll be honest, when you play this march, anyone will tell you it's super tanky and it's really good at not taking damage. So being able to just heal more is actually going to benefit you over time with this. Kind of the same for Theodora. Running Theodora with a Lifesaver and healing armor on this march is actually really beneficial, just to maximize the amount of healing that you've got. When it comes to Charlemagne, though, Charlemagne's going to catch you guys out because he actually deals, depending on what build you run, some really okay active base damage. Nothing insane, but he can. And you can run, as you've seen here, the Bloodthirst War Tactic combo, and if you have both of these skills maxed out, it's a decent amount of recovery, but it works on might and strategy. So what you're going to be wanting to run is obviously Armyy Sunder to increase all damage types of your hero, and run Bedrock. And this is going to and Lifesaver, should I say, and Lifesaver, because Lifesaver then pays off for the heals, right? So you get damage reduction 4.8% when War Tactic goes off or when Bloodthirst goes off, but Armyy Sunder increases both of these skills' damage output and actually makes him fair play to him and a little bit of a bang for his buck, instead of just sitting there doing his one job really, really badly. This also applies for Cleo, if you want to say, like Cleo. I'm just going to be honest, guys. I just wouldn't use Cleo in the fights, but if you want to use Cleo, you're going to be using the Second Strike strategy damage based skill instead. I have honestly forgot the name of it because, as you guys probably guessed it, I don't use these type of heroes that too often because we don't, but it's called Stratagem. So there you go. Stratagem is going to be the big one that you're going to be looking for, and you'll notice this is going to be called out quite a lot for the remaining based heroes for the pikeman, because when we look into them, they also deal strategy-based damage. They all just deal strategy secondary strike skill damage. So if we go into Tactician's Cav and pikeman now, just these two alone, you'll see that you've got Belisarius, you've got Hannibal, and these two heroes, your main damage dealers, run stratagem. So you want stratagem on these guys with obviously Armyy Sunder. It's going to just maximize your damage output. You can run then on a shocker, the same thing. Armyy Sunder is a really good one on his hero, as well as looking into it, you deal damage through secondary strike skills, so you can again have Gallant, I think it is, on this hero, because he deals might damage, which catches you all off. I know, it even catches me off to this day. That is a strategy based team, but he deals might damage, but that's what you run. So on a shocker, Gallant, right, with the other one I just mentioned. Elizabeth is easy. Many people should know having lifesaver and having actually healing effect recovery, or healing recovery effect increase, helps the most. So having renewal or healing armor with lifesaver on Elizabeth maximizes her supporting potential. This just because, again, when you reveal the conversion here, the conversion can be affected by healing effect bonuses. So if you can increase that, that means the more lifesteal that you technically have on the march, which is very, 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 very good. Going into Dae-Yang, she is an active based user. She is just a recoverer, just very similar to our good friend Justinian. Again, passive based heal guy, but again, recovering troops for our work. So we're going to be running lifesaver bedrock on those two heroes, and you'll be fine. When it comes to William the Conqueror, though, he is again turn based, but he's reducing damage, right? He's also reducing damage and increasing the amount of damage they take. When you go into like Crown Claim, again, this is doing the same thing, right? And then you can run triple offensive, which either increases their damage taken or deal some damage, or your choice can be tenacity to get a bit more survivability in there. So what you'll notice is he isn't dealing damage, he is making your team tankier. So if you run the tenacity build, you can run lifesaver bedrock. If you're not running that though, you can run bedrock firstly, because that's going to obviously reduce the amount of damage that you take. And then I would recommend looking at whatever troop type that you want, and maybe going for might damage reduction through Iron Ridge as a good example, or even Fierce, just to increase his normal attack damage that he deals within the formation, so you can just help chip away and help the commanders finish off the enemies in the game, right? So to finish it off, the final ones, Tactical Archers, is the same as I've said before. I'll be honest, they're exactly the same as before. The only difference is we get YSS and we get Queen Sendiok, and they are running the exact same things as I mentioned before. Spirit Bond for that active strategy damage increase, as well as the same for White Sun Shin. Run Armyy Sunder on both, apart from maybe Queen Sendiok. You could try Bedrock as a more defensive option. And there we go. I have honestly just gone through each of the categories, Martial, Warrior, and Tactician, and gone through each one of the unit types of all of the heroes in the game. And that is 81 of them. And I've literally spoon-fed you the traits that you're going to be wanting no matter what for these heroes. And hopefully that has helped you guys out. And just remember, you can obviously change some of these builds. You can look around and obviously comment down below maybe different suggestions. But honestly, if you just follow those trait builds that I'm going to give you, it's the best jack of all trades build. These will work in rallies, open fields. It doesn't matter where you're going to be at, they're going to be working. You're always going to have stats. It doesn't matter who you're fighting, if it's strategy or might, like Iron Ridge and all the other traits do. But hey, that's my play style. And just remember, once you've kind of hit the 75% damage reduction mark on kind of like your formation, you don't need any more damage reduction, guys. It doesn't scale anymore. So just go for damage base traits instead and try to do as much whack for your buck as you're able to do. And just to remind you guys, all of the traits that I've talked about today, Overpower, Gallon, Valor, and Flanks Breaker, those are your might damage skills for each of the unit types. Fierce is normal attack damages. This is good for those supports that I've mentioned before, like Scipio, like the Timmers, like the Attilas, and so on. Spirit Bond is the opposite now, but at the moment, we only have Spirit Bond and Stratagem. They're the only types that you're going to be looking out for. Cunning and Battlemaster, at the minute, we don't see any strategy damage based in these two categories, so you can ignore them and use them as fodder or food, if you want to call them as food, for your next McDonald's breeding session. Universal trait, Thunderbolt is just for those crit-based heroes like Zhao Yun and your good old friend Lubu. Armyy Sunder, the number one, probably best trait in the game because it just works on anyone. It doesn't matter where or types of damage. You've got it covered. You can run Dustbane and Fearless only on Martial Pikeman. Honestly, you'll get the best out of them, and that's when you start cheesing in and out of fights. Tidebreaker and Bastion, I again don't like these ones. Similar to these two that I've just mentioned, I don't like because they are situationally for one formation. But if you're a rally captain, you're always in rallies, Bastion and Tidebreaker will give you the best beneficial for you. Then if you're in a heavy might meta, Iron Rage, Tactician, heavy strategy. And if you don't want to gamble on it like I done, Bedrock covers all of the types. Peacemaker, Blade Sever, Entrenchment, Stalwart, and Perseverance reduces the specific types of skill damage. I don't like that because I can get 2.4% covered anyway through Bedrock. And then, as you guys know, Siege is only good for the Siege March, Josephine, King Derek, as well as Hammurabi. And then Swift Abundance is the best trait combo for Gathering Marches because you always have the maximum full stores. You always have like a 20 to, some people have 15 to 30 million. Honestly, it's crazy. Some loads that you can get. So don't worry about full stores. You're not going to need it. And then for Lifesaver, for every single support hero in the game that uses any sort of recovery, and then depending on the heroes, healing effect or the mounted healings effect, 11.5, this is going to be good for your Elizabeth, is really good for this one, while your troops healing effect here is really good if you've got multiple supports like a Ramcam and a Bushra. Then you can run stuff like healing armor, and that's going to make it a little bit better. But always Lifesaver number one. And for the second trait, as I've kind of mentioned already, it's kind of like the Bedrock roll is the best one. So there we go. Every single hero, every single trait currently in the game, kind of covered in one video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Smash like, comment, and subscribe. Until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.